Vraja Mahalal ki Jai Nityalila Vishnu Supad Kamai A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Ananda Puri Vaishnava ki Jai Swami Prabhu ki Mahacharya Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem to Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopi Gosha Amapur Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Vraja Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Sri Sri Krishna Baldev ki Jai Go Premanand All glories to His Son All glories to His Son All glories to His Son All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru Gaura, glories to you. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyanandana Shalakya Chakshurunilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Gadamayam Dati Saparantiyo Adharana Srinandai Vidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Guru Tridisyam Brahmanamni Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Hare Krishna. Yesterday was Ekadasi, so somehow I forgot to tell my favorite Ekadasi pastime. Because out of the 12 forests of Vraj, there's one forest called Bahulavan. First we come to Madhavan, then Talavan, Bahulavan, then Bahulavan. Very sweet little forest is there. We don't have to go. Now the story begins with there was two Gandharvas and the names were Hu and Ha. The Shastra says it was Hu and Ha. And they were doing some performance. Gandharvas, they sing and perform. So they were doing some singing performance for the Devas, Devi Devatas. At that time, Parasar Muni reached there with Narad Muni. So everyone stood up to receive them and paid respects to them, except for Hu and Ha. So Parasar Rishi became very upset. Everyone else has paid respects. You have not paid any respect. You're not worthy to be here with the Devas. You should go to the earth and become an animal. You're just like animals. The animals, they don't show any respect. Human beings, we can learn how to show respect to saintly person. And Hu-Ha said, wait a minute. You're Trikaligya. You can see past, present, and future. You sit in meditation and go in the past and see if within our hearts we were busy doing our performance. So within our hearts we perform Sastang Pranam, Dandavat Pranam. So Parsa Rishi sat in meditation for a minute. He saw that actually within their hearts they had paid Dandavats. He said, Acha. So because I cannot take back the curse, but I will also go to the earth. Narad Muni didn't stop me from cursing. He will also go to the earth. Mother Earth was the witness that she will also go to the earth and become an animal. So Mother Earth, she became a cow named Bahula. That's how this horse got his name from. Bahula, cow, Bahula Bandhu. And she was a very, very pious cow. One day it was a Ekadasi. And she decided to do Nirjala Ekadasi. Actually, she shouldn't have done this. She was very, 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 very pregnant. We don't recommend for the pregnant ladies to perform Nirjala Ekadasi. She was great, big, very big and pregnant. So anyway, she performed Nirjala Ekadasi. On the Dwadasi morning, just like today is Dwadasi, she gave birth to her calf. So she did Nirjala Ekadasi the whole day the day before, and now she went through the trauma of birth, giving birth to her calf. She was so thirsty. She didn't even bother to feed milk to her calf. She immediately went looking for water. So she went to the water hole. Now if you watch Discovery Channel, then you know that all the predators, they hang out near the water hole because the animals will come there. The prey will come there. So immediately a huge lion jumped out and was ready to pounce on her. When she bowed before the lion and said, "Please, I'll come back and you can eat me, but let me feed my first milk to my calf." Because that first milk of the cow is only meant for the calf. We call cholesterol. Even the commercial dairies know that milk is not meant for human beings. Although they're trying to squeeze out every drop of profit they can get, they can't sell that milk. It's filled with nutribiotics for the calf. We make antibiotics, antibiotics against life. But nature makes nutribiotics, nurturing life. So we know that lions are very ferocious, but they're also known to be very noble. So that lion said, "All right, you go feed your calf. I'll wait for you here. Meanwhile, I'll do my Facebook." So she went off to feed her calf. And she was feeding her calf, and she was crying. And calf said, Mata, why are you crying?" He said, "Because this is the last time I will see you." And she explained the situation. And the calf said, "No, Mata, how can you die? You have given me life. I should go be eaten by the lion. You stay here." No, I've already lived so much of my life. You have your whole life in front of you. I'll go be eaten by the lion. No, you gave me life. How can you be eaten? You're my mother. I will go be eaten by the lion. So this way they were arguing. The cowherd boy showed up. He saw the argument of the cow and the calf. When he understood what was going on, he said, no, my cow has given me milk throughout her life. How can she die? I will be eaten. Let me be eaten by them. We don't have this nobility anymore. If somehow or other we can get out of it, we're out of there. But the cowherd boy is saying, no, you both stay here. How can my cow and calf die? I will be eaten by them. No, you stay here. You've taken care of me so nicely. How can I see my owner die? No. I'll go eat the lion. This way, all three of them went to the water. The lion, he's sitting there. He looked up. He saw instead of 3 people have come, and everybody's falling in front of him. He said, "Please eat me." No, spare him. He was shocked. At that moment, Sri Krishna appeared on the scene and played on his flute, and everybody realized their original identity. The cow was Mother Earth, the cowherd boy was Parasa Rishi, the calf was Narad Muni. In this way, everybody, the Gandharva was Paha was the lion. This way, everyone realized their eternal identities. So there's a beautiful little kund called Bahula Kund. And just on the side of the kund, there's a ghat going down. In the middle of the ghat, underneath, there's a little shrine with a beautiful carving of of this pastime. You see the cow and her calf, and the cowherd boy and the lion, and Sri Krishna's leg and his flute, all carved in marble there on the steps of the. So then the question becomes, what happened to Hoo? Anybody knows what happened to Hoo? He became the crocodile in Gajendra Moksha.
Oh.
Because Parsa initiated the Christians, so the course had to come through. But he got liberation, no problem. So anyway, that was my favorite Ekadasi Dwadasi pastime. It's not known by many people. The singing, too bad Dave is not here. Dave said that's why I went to Guru like David. David suggested we do Lord Chaitanya and Vraj. So I go.
His scooter got stolen where he was here.
Yeah. Anyway, Mahaprabhu also came to Bahula and is described. It doesn't mention directly in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but from the next pastime, it's obvious. But there's a beautiful description as he wandered through a beautiful forest, and all the deers and the does and bucks came to lick his body and smell him, and elderberries would fly in his finger, and he was wandering through the beautiful forest. Beautiful description is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And from there, he went on Brikama too. He headed towards Govardhan. We didn't go like on Brikama with you, the AC car and bus. He went by his 2 feet, with his hands raised in the air, chanting very loudly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he was totally lost in ecstasy. His servant Balabhadra, as they approached some village near the end of Govardhan, he stopped one villager, asked him, what is the name of this village? And the villager said, this is Aritagram. As soon as the sound of Aritagram entered Mahaprabhu's ear, he returned to his external consciousness. And he began to ask everyone, where's Radhakuna and Shyamakuna? Now why hearing the sound of Aritagram did Mahaprabhu think of Radhakuna and Shyamakuna? Because the original name of this village was Aristagram, named after Aristasura, who came in the form of a roll. Aristasura. So why, remembering the pastime of Aristasura, did Mahaprabhu think of Radhakuna and Shyamakuna? Aristasura is a big demon, and we heard that Radhakuna was a very sweet, Madhurya rasa place. Well, it happened that Krishna had just got him dressed up to do Rasa Lila with the gopis. Prabhupada describes he's Natavara. Natavara means dancing actor. Dressed up very nicely. Just like dancing actor. When he got the news that this Aristasura was terrorizing the Brishvasas, he thought this terrorism was a new thing. This has been going on for at least 5,000 years. This was Arista bin Laden. He was tearing up the ground with his hooves, smashing the Brishvasi houses with his horns. His roar was giving the Brishvasinis miscarriages. He was so tall, his tail was swatting the clouds. He took one look at Krishna and struck the ground, pointed his horns, and charged at Krishna. And Krishna just put his hand on the shoulder of his friend. He wasn't involved with his friend. Aristasura, this huge demon, came charging at Krishna. And Krishna grabbed him by the horns, swung him around and around, and just by the swinging around, his life force came out of his body, and he smashed that demon on the ground and stomped on him like a wet sponge, And passing stool and urine simultaneously, he went to the kingdom of Nirmala. So then Krishna, he dusted himself out, alright. He told the gopis, now we can do ras. And Radharani said, how we can be associated with such a person as you? You have done a big pap. You know pap? Coca-Cola 7-Up.
Yeah.
No, pap means sin. What sin did I do? He said, you killed a bull. That is a big sin. And that wasn't a bull, that was a demon in the form of the bull. And Radharani said, may have been a demon, but he was in the form of a bull, so you have committed a sin. And Krishna said, it may have been a demon, but it may have been a bull, but he was a demon. Then Radharani said, well, we heard from Mother Purnamasi that one time Indra killed a demon. But he was a Brahmin, you remember, Vitrasura. Indra killed him, he got reaction. You remember from Srimad Bhagavatam, that old lady with tuberculosis coughing blood came chasing after him. He got reaction. So Krishna said, alright, what do I have to do to get free from this reaction? And Radharani and the gopis, they huddled around and discussed amongst themselves. Then they said, you will have to take bath in all the sacred rivers of the universe, holy ponds of the universe. Krishna said, alright, that will take a long time. How I can be away from you girls for so long? I will call all the sacred places here in the place. And Radharani the gopis, oh Krishna, don't try to fool us with your magic. We don't believe in your magic. And Krishna played on his flute, and all the holy places personified appeared on the spot. Then Krishna took his right foot and he stomped. Big depression in the ground. And all the sacred places personified were there with folded hands bowing before Krishna. Any seva Maharaj? Any service for us? This is yes. You give your introduction, you chant your mantra, and you pour your water in the kund that I just made. So everyone came forward, I'm Ganga, Godavari, Sarvati, Narmada, Sindhu, Panchajita, all the different holy places of the universe came before, gave their introduction, chanted their mantra, and poured their water in Krishna's kund. And Krishna, just by his eyes, because when we have love for one another, we don't even need to use words. Just like when we're angry, we scream at each other. We're face to face, but we scream at each other because our hearts have gone far away. We have to shout. But when our hearts are very close, then we don't have to. We just speak with little words, or sometimes just by our eyes. So Krishna showed all the gopis just by his eyes. You see, they're coming. So this went on for a long time, almost to the midnight. Then Krishna took his bath. After taking his bath, Krishna told Radharani and all the gopis, now you come in the water, we'll enjoy delicating water pastimes. And Radharani and the gopis said, this water is contaminated with your sin. How we can come in this water? We're going to make our own kund. So there was a place on the other side where Ristasura had dug his hoof into the ground. So Radharani broke her golden bangle and she began to dig. And all the Sakis, they broke their golden bangles and they began to dig. In 2010, when they did the cleaning of Radha Kund, we saw that original Kund, Kankan Kund. Golden bangle means Kankan, or sometimes Kangan. You can go on YouTube and type in Kankan Kund or Kangan Kund, and you can see that you get darshan of you can't believe how deep Radha Kund is. And way down the bottom there's a little tiny Kund called Kangan. So they dug this beautiful Kund, and Krishna came there and he said, your Kund is very beautiful, but there's no water in it. And Radharani said, we're going to bring water from Manasiganga. With hundreds and hundreds of gopis, with gold and silver water pots, hundreds of pots going, hundreds of pots coming, we'll fill it with water from Manasiganga. Now Krishna, he doesn't like to see the gopis doing any work. He can't bear to see a bead of perspiration come on Radharani's brow. So he signaled to all those places personified, and they became one person. And that person went before Srimati Radhika and began to offer so many beautiful prayers. And finally said that we thought that the perfection of life was to be associated with the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Because when Krishna bathed in all the holy places, he became purified. Yes? Yeah? Yet, all the holy places became purified because Krishna bathed in them. But now, seeing your divine, wonderful qualities, we can understand that the real perfection of life is to be in your good. So Radharani said, what do you want? He said, we want to come in your good. So Radharani, she smiled at Sri Krishna and she shook her head. People get confused when they come to India because people for yes or for no, you just have to know exactly the vibe. So they broke a hole between Radhakund, between Shamakund and Radhakund, and the water from Radhakund. And that happened exactly at the midnight. So the appearance of Radhakund is at midnight. And Jiva Goswami says this pastime took place on the Chaitra Purnima. Everybody's been celebrating in Kartik. But in his commentary, now even by seeing this, even the GBC has changed our calendar. The one in Kartik may be the time that Mahaprabhu discovered Radhakund, but the actual appearance according to Jiva Goswami is Chaitra Purnima. Right after, what do you call it? Nishringa Chaturdasi, next day is Chaitra Purnima. So therefore, when Mahaprabhu heard that this is a ristogram, he began to ask everyone, where's Radhakund and Shamakund? But they were lost to the eyes of the world, nobody knew. But being the self-same Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know Brajandanandana Jai Sachi Shuddha Bhagav say. That Brajandananda now he's come as the son of Mother Sachi Devi. So he sat under a tamal tree. There's a very beautiful place called Tamaltala. That tamal tree is no longer there. They planted a new one, but it didn't survive because of the monkeys.
And that's one of the projects that Vrindakun did to try to protect that.
Yeah, we tried to protect.
Vrindakun does lots of projects like that. Seva projects around Vraj.
So he sat under that tamal tree and he saw there was 2 rice paddy fields. One was called Kali and one was called Gauri. Now we know Kali means black and Gauri means golden. So Mahaprabhu could understand that this was none other than Shamakund, Kali, and Gauri, Radhakund. And with whatever water was there, he took his bath. And he began to chant many beautiful prayers. All those prayers Prabhupada just kept translated in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Go to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sava Gopi Haiti Radha Krishna Na Priyasi Taiche Radha Kunda Priya Priya Rasarasi. Sava Gopi Haiti Radha Krishna Na. Of all the gopis, one is very dear to Krishna. Sava Gopi Haiti Radha Krishna is very dear to Krishna. Taiche Radha Kunda Priya Priya Rasarasi Taiche. In the same way, this Kund known as Radha Kund is just as dear to Krishna as Radha. He chanted one verse from Padma Purana. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu Tasya Kundam Priyam Dita Sarva Gopiju Saivaika Vishnu Ratyanta Vallabha. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu, just as Radha is very dear to Krishna. Tasya Kundam Priyam